Right. I should have known.
Okay, so very quickly, 5 new, no, they're not new, but they're maybe simple and maybe a new way of thinking about it, but it's old, but it's new. I'm already digging myself. Okay, take 2. Let's just call it 5 new paradigms of creating. Okay, so this is really good. Of course, I always have things, because I travel all the time, so I always have experiences on the planes, in the airport, whatever. Okay, so I was on the plane, so this first, okay, these are all new ways to think about creativity, and they all involve you being out in the world in a different way. And I think we're living in an exciting time where it's more and more available to us to just be who you are. Amazing. Bill Murray just had a 7-list thing of, like, you know, how to be successful or something like that. And of course, most of his points were things that we talk about all the time. And his most important point was just be who you are. Just be who you are. Relax was one of his points, and just be who you are. But anyway, that's a whole other subject. Number 1, you can't go it alone. And I think this is really interesting to remember. We need each other. So I got onto the plane yesterday, and apparently Delta canceled their flight back, so all the people who were supposed to be on Delta got on the United flight. So it was crazy. Everybody was like, oh my God, it was so dramatic. And so this woman sat down next to me, and I know I'm probably the most annoying seatmate ever, because I turned to her and I was like, hi! Are you traveling to LA? And she literally was like, don't talk to me, I am really angry right now. Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, you're some peanuts, I did not know what to do. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be 16 hours of torture. What the heck? Well, this isn't really about how amazingly I handle it. That's not the point of this story. But no, because it's going to come out like that at first, and I don't mean it that way, but here's the truth. So of course, 5 hours in or 4 hours in, I looked over at her, because I just was giving her space, but I looked over at her because I was watching Into the Woods, and I was kind of asleep, and then I turned over, and I saw her trying to figure out her, movie thing. And she was really struggling with it. She had long nails, and she was tapping on the thing. And it was in Mandarin or Spanish or something, and she was obviously from like Boca Raton, Florida. And so I tapped her on her shoulder, and I was like, do you need some help? And so I navigated the thing for her. No big deal, right? And then, of course, she just completely opened to the experience and to who I was, and, we had exchange, and so that's the thing. Look it, the universe delivers us always. Listen, in this case, it was just a really benevolent, simple example of how we can be in service and how we're all connected and we all need each other. We do. You can't go it alone. Even somebody helping you come over and try to figure out how to set your DVR. So we've got to be more open to that out in the world, because when ego meets ego, this could have been the transaction that occurred between she and I for 16 hours. So I'm not saying I'm like all woo-hoo about things. I struggle with my own stuff, but you gotta try to be open to, well, what else is this here to show me? And sure enough, people will turn. Miracles happen. Things become available to you. So that's number 1. Number 2, well, this is really interesting to me, because I think this kind of goes hand in hand in it, but I find that you guys, you get more done when you're nice, and I think we have to change this idea that Hollywood, to me, often has this, they excuse bad behavior. At different levels, people allow bad behavior to occur, and I think we got to change that attitude. I don't think we have to act like we're all in high school and react to other people like we're in high school. So I find that creativity, and it's been proven scientifically, you're most creative when you're in joy. You're most creative when you're not meeting the world and other people from a place of system shutdown. So you're nice. It's just like the first point. So I don't know, maybe that's the things that I'm going through in the business, and I'm finding that it's really interesting how bad behavior is excused, and I don't want to stay, that's not what I want my defining mark to be about. I want to show that you can change the world, and you can create change in the business by treating people with dignity and respect. Number 3, this came up in Australia. You're not the most creative, constantly thinking that you have something to work on. This is a weird acting idea. See, this is something that we've inherited from the 1980s, maybe before. Let's just stop it. So I would give actors notes in Sydney, but then they would continue to ruminate over the notes to the point where, you got to cut yourself some slack. The universe is going to show you on a daily basis things you need to work on. Why don't you just work on those? You're going to have your hands full. Most of the time, you're not going to want to deal with them. So I think we have to change this thing that always we have something that must be fixed. If it's not broke, why do we assume that we have to fix it? If it's not broke, don't assume you have to fix something. Let's just work on, oh, that works. Now, we come back next week, or you go to an audition, or you live tomorrow, and you see what that presents to you. As opposed to this assumption that there's always something flawed and wrong with you. That's just already a huge paradigm shift. Can you stop assuming that there's something flawed and completely wrong with you that needs to be fixed? Because there isn't. It actually runs counter to the perfection of who we are. You're all imperfectly perfect, and you got all the goods inside you. So let's just change that 1980s paradigm that actors have to always be working and struggling on something. No, you don't. Number 4, well, this could very well tie into number 3. Just do the work. Here's another point. Why can't we just begin shifting this paradigm around auditioning and acting full stop? When you come to class, you're doing the work. When a lot of people are in rehearsals for different things, you're doing the work. If you're doing the showcase, you're doing the work. People are doing the show proof, you're doing the work. If you're on set with Meryl Streep, you're doing the work. You're just doing the work. You're not obsessed with all the other things that, well, sometimes we get concerned about it. But generally, our energy is about doing the work. So what would happen if for you, in an audition situation, you just change that paradigm? Why does it have to be fraught with anxiety and apprehension and worrying about what they think and being nervous and you have to deliver? What if you just said to yourself, I'm just there to do my work? First of all, you are. Secondly, that's what they're going to respond to. And third, they're going to give you adjustments so that you can further do your work. Let that be a place of empowerment as you go into the room. You guys, that's the truth about it. Just get this word auditioning out of it. Just get out of this whole word that you're auditioning. You're not. This is my 3 minutes to show you how I would do this work. This is the work. And you know what? That also gives you the freedom to let the work be what it is. So you're not going for perfection. You're not going for, oh my God, if I mess a line up, that means I'm not going to get the job. Get that out. And then all of a sudden, you will start to have things happen. Just do the work. I think that that's really important. And the last thing, which is the real work, this is your homework. Just change one thing that's holding you back. Dum, dum, dum. Just one thing. You can do it. Everybody has something that they want to change about themselves. If you don't like where you are, change who you are. Or you can say it, if you don't like who you are, well, no, you have to do the first one. Yes. If you don't like where you are, change who you are. So, yeah, so you're not, maybe things aren't really quite happening in relationships or in your career or whatever it is. You got to start making internal changes. It doesn't happen with changes out here. So this is your homework. This is going to be good. You're going to call up your closest friend. Could be your spouse. Oh, a spouse would work. Or your friend. And you're going to say, tell me one thing that you see about me that I do that I get in my way of. Ooh, you are not going to like the answer they give you. You are not going to like it. It's true. My closest friend last night heard that lesson, and he is so excited to tell me. And I'm like, I know I'm not going to want to hear what he has to tell me, but you know what? You don't want to hear it because it's true.
Right. I should've known you were bad news from the bad boy demeanor and the tattoos. Cause most guys only want one thing, but I'm undecided trying to figure out if that's you. Either way though, I think you're worth a test drive.